In a cave, we found 4 lines of text written in Aramaic. Who wrote it? Well, let's begin. So what if a single line carved in stone nearly 2,000 years ago was the only trace of a forgotten life? Near Ein Gedi in the Judean desert, archaeologists quite recently uncovered a rare 4-line Aramaic inscription in a cave above the Dead Sea. Now, it begins with a chilling phrase, Abba of Naburia has perished. And here's where it gets even stranger. In spring 2023, a research team visited this very cave to photograph an even older Hebrew inscription using multispectral imaging, a technology that can reveal writing invisible to the naked eye. They weren't expecting anything new. However, just below that ancient text, on the very same stalactite, they found this mysterious Aramaic inscription. Nearby, there was 4 Roman swords hidden in their scabbards, a bronze coin from the Bar Kokhba Revolt, and even a javelin head. These weren't just random objects, they suggested the cave was potentially a secret weapon cache during a time of rebellion within Judaism with the Jews and the Romans. So let's get back to the inscription, because the inscription's letters are written in the square Hebrew script, the same script still used today that places it firmly in the 1st or 2nd century CE. Now, that's a very important nuance because of the destruction of the Second Temple. Is this writing before the destruction of the Second Temple, or is it writing after? Likely, it's tied to one of the great Jewish uprisings within Rome, but which one is what's at question here. The swords and coins point directly at the Bar Kokhba Revolt, which is between 132 and 136 CE, when fighters used the desert caves as shelter and strongholds. But here's the rarity. Most inscriptions from this period are just single words or names. This one here seems to give us 4 lines. Outside the Dead Sea Scrolls, that's almost unheard of. So, the writing says Abba, and Abba is a very common Jewish name. Naruya refers to the Galilean village near modern-day Safed, even mentioned in Jerusalem's Talmud. So, was this Abba a rebel commander cut down in battle, potentially a villager remembered by his comrades, or simply just someone whose death was significant enough to etch into stone? The fragmentary words that follow, on us he took the, and that's where it trails off, like a half-finished thought, meant for those who already knew the story. This isn't history told by victors here, it's raw, it's human voice carved by people on the run, maybe even moments before their own death. So this tiny inscription forces us to ask some big questions. Who do we choose to remember and why? How many more messages like this may lie hidden, waiting for new technologies to reveal them? So archaeologists are already planning on surveying all of the nearby caves with advanced imaging. Maybe we'll uncover another voice like Abba's, or whole stories that never made it into scripture. For now, all we know is this. 2,000 years ago, someone stood in that cave and carved the name Abba of Naburia has perished, and that whisper still echoes in the dark. So if you want to keep exploring history's forbidden corners, hit subscribe and join me next time. Now this Friday is going to be a bit unique. As you may know, if you've watched a few of my videos, I'm very much on script. I do write my own scripts. I usually have the reference material of where they come from within the descriptions. However, I'm wanting to try something a little new. I want to try to be a bit more free-flowing. I've noticed listening back to some of my own videos that they can sound a bit like I'm definitely reading off a script. And for some reason, things like dates and times and historical places and the pronunciation, it can be quite difficult to remember all this. So I do work off a script, but I'm slowly pulling myself away from that. I'm just going to have key points and I'm just going to start dumping a load of information that I've learned based off the research that I've done to try to make it a little bit more engaging. So this Friday, I thought, what a better way to fully probably not going to be a good idea to use that word, but to fully open myself to you guys and to be more of a direct communication instead of this me reading from a script. I'm going to explore my own history of religion, history, and where the fascination comes from. Now, as some of you may be aware, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm going to be exploring my original roots and my waking up moment of when I left that organization and the struggles that I had trying to get my feet from under me on a spiritual level. And not only that, on a historical level, because it opened the floodgates to what eventually became this channel. And I want to keep that going. And it's something I'm very passionate about, is history, because ultimately one day we're all going to be just a line, and it might be our birth certificate or whatever. And I think that when we've got history, we should look back and see what was left, what was preserved, what did people believe, how did people live their lives, why did they live their lives like this? And it's not for us to judge in a negative way and look at and say, how dare they? Because it's not for us to judge, but it is for us to understand it was left there for a reason. So we should make the most of that opportunity and explore all of history. So I've got enough material to be able to continue this indefinitely. But until next time, I will catch you Friday when I reveal some of my trauma. Take care.